The two-story house, standing in a residential neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio, was a symbol of the typical American dream. In the front yard, surrounded by a white picket fence, roses that Emily Sanders had lovingly cultivated were in full bloom, and a handmade welcome mat was placed on the front porch. Emily worked as a graphic designer at a small, local advertising agency, while raising her 4-year-old daughter Lily. At the breakfast table in the morning, Emily listened to the sound of her husband Michael reading the newspaper while she made pancakes for her daughter. Michael was a serious man who worked at an accounting firm in the city and preferred a regular lifestyle. After 7 years of marriage, their relationship was calm and stable. "Lily, you're holding your chopsticks wrong." Dorothy's voice echoed from across the dining table. Dorothy was Michael's mother, who had a special interest in her granddaughter's education. She had moved in with them 6 months ago, at Michael's suggestion, when Emily became pregnant. "Lily is only 4 years old," Emily said gently. "That's exactly why it's important to teach her proper habits now." Dorothy stared at Lily with sharp eyes behind her glasses. "All my students grew up to be fine people. You mustn't underestimate the importance of early education." Lily looked up at her mother's face with an anxious expression. The adorable little girl, with blonde curls and blue eyes, had seemed tense around her grandmother lately. "Lily is doing her best." Emily gently stroked her daughter's head. "I think it's important for children to have time to be children. Spoiling her too much isn't good." Dorothy tightened her lips. "Lily has wonderful potential. She can already read the alphabet at 4 and count to 20. We should help her develop more." Michael looked up from his newspaper and showed a delicate expression between his mother and wife. "Mother, Emily has a point too." "You're too soft, Michael." Dorothy looked at her son. "When I raised you, I was much stricter. That's why you became such a fine adult." Emily sighed inwardly. She could understand her mother-in-law's educational enthusiasm, but sometimes felt it went too far. She particularly questioned the approach of having Lily practice writing and study numbers at the expense of free playtime. "Emily, how are you feeling?" Michael changed the subject. "Everything's going well so far." Emily placed her hand on her 8-month pregnant belly. "I'm due next month, so I'll be going into the hospital soon. We'll take care of Lily while you're gone. So don't worry." Dorothy's voice was confident. "Michael will help between work, and I can manage just fine on my own." Emily smiled, but a small anxiety crossed her mind. There were differences between Dorothy's educational approach and her own parenting philosophy. However, with childbirth approaching, it was certainly reassuring to have someone to rely on. "Lily, while Mommy is at the hospital, you'll stay with Daddy and Grandma." Emily spoke gently to her daughter. "But I'll come home soon." Lily nodded slightly, but her expression still showed traces of anxiety. "Don't worry, Lily dear." Dorothy took her granddaughter's hand. "Grandma and you will study lots together. I have a special program planned to help you become a smart child." That afternoon, Emily had her final checkup at the obstetrician. The doctor informed her of next week's hospitalization schedule, and she realized that childbirth was truly approaching. When she returned home, she could see Dorothy having Lily practice the alphabet. ABCD. Lily's small voice could be heard. "Very good, Lily dear." Dorothy nodded with satisfaction. "Tomorrow we'll try more difficult letters." Emily smiled while thinking about life starting next week. Anticipation for the birth of new life mixed with slight anxiety about leaving Lily behind. On Monday morning of the following week, Emily stood at the front door with a small suitcase. Although labor hadn't started yet, she was scheduled for admission on the doctor's orders. Lily clung to her mother's legs and wouldn't let go. "Mommy, I want to go with you." Lily's voice was trembling. "No, Lily, the hospital is a place for adults only." Emily picked up her daughter and kissed her cheek. "But I'll come home soon with the baby." "When will you come back?" "At most a week. It'll be over before you know it," Emily answered, while stroking her daughter's blonde hair. "Daddy and Grandma will have fun with Lily." Dorothy took Lily's hand. "That's right, Lily dear. Grandma and you will learn lots of new things together." Michael placed his hand on his wife's shoulder. "Don't worry, I'll try to come home early too." Emily kissed her husband and hugged Lily once more before getting in the car. Watching her daughter waving from the rear window, she felt a small pain in her chest. The first 2 days at the hospital passed peacefully. Michael visited the hospital every day after work. and reported on Lily's condition. Mother is reading picture books to Lily. They went to the park together today. Hearing such stories, Emily felt reassured. On the third night, Emily called Michael. How is Lily? She's fine. She's having dinner with Mother right now. Michael's voice sounded a little tired. Hasn't she said she wants to talk to me? There was a brief silence on the other end of the phone. Actually, Mother says it's better to keep phone calls to a minimum, so Lily can concentrate. Concentrate on what? Anxiety crept into Emily's voice. Studying. Writing the alphabet, practicing numbers. Can you imagine making $10 a month just from you to ball from home? That's exactly what I did with Edit Stories. No face, no voice. Check the link in the description if you're curious. Mother says Lily is very smart, so she wants to help her develop more during this opportunity. Michael, Lily is only 4 years old. She doesn't need to study so much. I understand, but Mother is an education professional, so it should be fine to leave it to her. A faint irritation could be heard in Michael's voice. You shouldn't get stressed either. Stress isn't good for you. After hanging up, Emily lay in bed staring at the ceiling. She could understand her husband's words, but her maternal instinct seemed to be warning her of something. On the fourth afternoon, Emily called again. This time she wanted to talk directly to Lily. Emily, it's study time now. Dorothy's voice came through the phone. Lily dear is concentrating, so it's better not to disturb her. But I'm her mother. I have the right to talk to my daughter. Of course you do, but prioritizing a child's education is also a mother's duty, isn't it? Lily dear is at a very important learning stage right now. Emily gripped the receiver tightly. Please let me talk to Lily. Call later, maybe after dinner. The phone was hung up. Emily felt anxiety growing in her chest. On the 5th morning, labor began. After many hours of difficult labor, a healthy baby boy was born in the evening. Emily was exhausted, but the joy of holding new life in her arms was indescribable. Michael rushed to the hospital and cried while holding his son. Lily is going to be a big sister. I want to see Lily, Emily said in a weak voice. You still need to rest. Mother is taking care of Lily. But it's okay. You'll see her when you're discharged tomorrow. Michael held his wife's hand. Rest now. That night, Emily looked at her son in the nursery while thinking about Lily. What was her daughter doing now? Was she having fun with Grandma? Or was she still being made to study? On the 6th night, Emily asked a nurse to help her call home. Lily dear is asleep, Dorothy's voice came through. What did she do today? It was a very fulfilling day. We practiced kanji in the morning and I taught her basic arithmetic in the afternoon. Lily dear is really a smart child. She can already do simple addition. Kanji for a 4-year-old. Emily's voice went up early. Education is important. We mustn't waste Lily dear's talent. Did she have time to play? Study is also a form of play. Lily dear is happily working on it. After hanging up, Emily was seized by deep anxiety. A nurse came over with a concerned look. Are you all right? You look pale. I'm worried about my daughter at home, Emily answered honestly. I understand how you feel. But your family is taking care of her, right? I'm sure everything is fine. On the 7th morning, the doctor gave permission for discharge. Emily, holding newborn Joshua, looked forward to seeing Lily. She wanted to hug her daughter for the first time in a week and introduce her new brother. You can go home today, Michael said when he came to pick her up. And Emily smiled. Is Lily well? Yes, she's fine. Mother has been taking very good care of her. I can't wait to see Lily. Of course. She's waiting at home in the car. Emily asked Michael. Didn't Lily ask about me during this week? Of course she did, but Mother skillfully distracted her. She was absorbed in learning new things. Absorbed in what? Writing letters. Doing calculations. Mother says Lily has great concentration. Emily looked out the window while picturing her daughter's face. She remembered that anxious expression when they parted a week ago. When they arrived home, Emily hurriedly opened the front door holding Joshua. She called her daughter's name. Lily, Mommy's home. However, only Dorothy came to greet her. Welcome back, Emily. Lily dear is in the living room. Emily headed toward the living room. While sensing something was wrong, the house was unusually quiet with no childlike laughter or footsteps to be heard at all. And when she saw her daughter curled up small on the living room sofa, Emily's heart began pounding violently. Emily froze in the living room, still holding Joshua. The sight of her daughter curled up small in the corner of the sofa was like a different person. from the active and curious Lily she had parted with a week ago. Lily, Emily's voice was trembling. A 4-year-old looked up at that moment. Emily gasped. Lily's cheeks were hollow and her previously plump face had become thin. Most shocking was that those once sparkling blue eyes were now vacant with deep dark circles underneath. It was as if the weariness of an adult had been carved into a 4-year-old's face. Lily, it's Mommy. Mommy came home. Emily carefully placed Joshua on the sofa and approached her daughter. Lily looked at her mother but didn't jump up and run to her as usual. Instead she curled her small body up even more. What's wrong, Lily? Don't you recognize Mommy? Emily knelt in front of her daughter. Mommy? Lily's voice was much smaller and more hoarse than before. Yes, it's Mommy. I missed you so much, so very much. Emily tried to take her daughter's hand but Lily pulled away at that moment. Dorothy entered the living room. Lily, dear, behave properly. Say hello to Mommy properly. Lily's body shuddered. Hello, Mommy. Welcome home. Her voice was mechanical, as if she were reciting memorized lines. Emily stood up and stared at her mother-in-law. Dorothy, what happened to Lily? She's so thin. She's not thin at all. She's just been concentrating on studying, Dorothy answered matter-of-factly. She had regular meal times and ate nutritious food, but she's clearly, children's appearance changes during growth periods. More importantly, look at how much Lily dear has grown this week. Dorothy turned to Lily. Lily dear, write the kanji you learned yesterday. Lily stood up and sat at the table swaying. Emily could see her small hands trembling as she held the pencil. Lily began writing characters on paper. However, her movements were mechanical with no sense of joy or pride. Isn't it wonderful? Dorothy said with satisfaction. Writing kanji at 4 years old. She's a genius. Emily stared at the characters her daughter had written. The kanji were indeed written accurately, but the lines were shaky and the pressure weak. Most importantly, there was no sense of achievement or happiness in Lily's expression at all. Lily, good job. Emily tried to pick up her daughter but noticed that Lily's weight had clearly decreased. How much weight did she lose? There's no need to worry about weight, Dorothy interrupted. When children concentrate on studying, they naturally become more trim. Michael came home from work in the evening. He was happy to see Joshua but didn't seem as sensitive as Emily to Lily's changes. Lily, it's Daddy. Michael reached out to his daughter. Lily looked up at her father but didn't show her usual smile. Instead, she showed a frightened expression. During dinner, Emily carefully observed how Lily ate. Her daughter's movements in bringing food to her mouth were slow, as if she felt fear about eating. Lily, eat more, Dorothy said in a commanding tone. Lily lifted the spoon with trembling hands but stopped before bringing it to her mouth. Untiming her, Dorothy explained to Emily. Meals are also part of education. If she doesn't finish within the time limit, it affects the next study period. Timing a 4-year-old's meal. Teaching efficient living habits is important. Emily looked at her husband. But Michael just showed a troubled expression. That night, when putting Lily to bed, Emily was alone with her daughter. Lily, did you have fun while Mommy was away? Emily asked gently. Lily pulled the blanket up to her chin and shook her head slightly. You didn't have fun? Lily looked at her mother's face and tears welled up in her eyes. However, she said nothing. Lily, you can tell Mommy anything. Mommy is always on Lily's side. After a long silence, Lily said in a small voice. Mommy, I'm tired. What makes you tired? Studying. How much did you study every day? Lily tried to count on her fingers, but got confused halfway through. From morning until night, Emily's heart began racing. Did you have time to play? Lily shook her head. Naps, naps. She shook her head again. Emily placed her hand on her daughter's cheek. Lily, what happened while Mommy was away? Tell me the truth. Lily was about to open her mouth for a moment. But suddenly there was a sound at the door. Dorothy's footsteps could be heard, walking down the hallway. Lily's body stiffened and began trembling. Be quiet, Lily whispered to herself. If I'm not quiet, then again. Again, what? Emily gently grasped her daughter's shoulder. The door was knocked. Emily, it's time for Lily dear to sleep. Dorothy's voice could be heard. We'll be done in a moment, Emily answered. But Lily had already closed her eyes, pretending to sleep. The next morning, Emily got up early to check on Lily. In her daughter's room, learning scheduled. Charts were posted all over the walls. 600 am wake up, 630 breakfast. 700 letter practice begins. The day was managed minute by minute. What is this? Emily asked Dorothy. It's an efficient learning program. I created it to maximize Lily Dear's talent. For a 4-year-old, this kind of schedule. It's the result of early education. Lily Dear has made wonderful progress. At that moment, Lily appeared in the kitchen. She looked up at the wall clock and hurriedly sat in her chair. 7:15 breakfast time, Lily muttered mechanically. Emily placed pancakes in front of her daughter. You can eat slowly, Lily. However, Lily began eating hurriedly while watching the timer. Then she spilled some syrup. I'm sorry. Lily repeated, almost crying. It's okay, we just need to wipe it up, Emily said gently, but Lily's fear didn't subside. After lunch, Emily took Lily out to the garden. She wanted to talk again. In a place where they could be alone. Lily, do you feel safe being with Mommy? Lily nodded slightly. What really happened while Mommy was away? Was there anything scary? Lily was quiet for a long time, but eventually said in a small voice, while Mommy was away, what happened? Emily held her daughter's hand and asked gently. Lily looked into her mother's eyes and answered in a tearful voice, Daddy and Grandma. The moment she heard those words, electricity shot through Emily's body. Her daughter's trembling voice, her emaciated body, her fear-filled eyes. Everything told the story of one terrifying reality. Emily stood up and unhesitatingly grabbed the car keys. Lily, let's go out with Mommy. Where? To a safe place. Emily picked up her daughter. In the parking lot of the Columbus police station. Emily took a deep breath. Lily was curled up small in the back seat, tightly gripping her mother's hand. Joshua was also with them. Mommy, what is this place? Lily's voice was filled with anxiety. It's a safe place. The people here will protect Lily. Emily gently stroked her daughter's cheek. You don't have to be scared anymore. At the police station reception, Emily said with a trembling voice, I'd like to report suspected child abuse. The female police officer at reception changed her expression when she saw the emaciated Lily. Please come this way. I'll call a specialist. They were shown to a private room and soon Mary Johnson, a social worker from Child Protective Services, appeared. Emily explained in detail the events during her week-long hospitalization, Lily's changes and her daughter's words. Mary listened with a serious expression. Lily dear, can you tell us about it? Mary crouched down to the child's eye level. Lily hid behind her mother, but eventually began answering in a small voice. Grandma made me study, from early morning until late at night. When I made mistakes, I was made to sit alone in the room. If I didn't finish eating within the time limit, my food was taken away. Mary's expression became stern. What else? Daddy watched, but he didn't say anything. When Grandma got angry, Daddy looked scared too. Lily's voice became even smaller. At night too. She said it was study time and naps weren't allowed. Even going to the bathroom had set times. Did you get proper meals? Just a little. Grandma said it was to improve concentration. Lily began crying when I said I wanted to call Mommy. She said it would interfere with studying. Emily held her daughter while becoming convinced that her judgment was correct. Mary stood up. Let's have a doctor examine her right away. Then we'll proceed with emergency protection. The hospital examination results were shocking. Pediatrician Dr. Harris explained to Emily. With a grave expression, Lily is clearly in a state of malnutrition. She has lost 3 pounds in 1 week. There are also signs of dehydration and extreme fatigue from sleep deprivation. Will she recover? Emily's voice was trembling. She will recover with proper care. However, the psychological effects are also serious. We need to start counseling immediately. Mary, who received the doctor's diagnosis, explained to Emily. With this, we can apply for an emergency protection order. We now have legal grounds to protect your child from danger. That night, Emily took refuge at her sister Sarah's house. Sarah was a nurse and fully supported Emily's decision. I can't believe it that Dorothy would do such a thing, Sarah said while reading Lily's medical diagnosis. What was Michael doing? That's the most painful part. My husband couldn't stand up to his mother. As a result, he turned a blind eye to his daughter's abuse. The next day Michael called. Many times Emily followed her lawyer's advice and avoided talking to him directly. 3 days later, a Child Protective Services investigation team visited the Montgomery house. What they found in Lily's room exceeded Emily's imagination. Mary reported to Emily. Learning schedule charts titled Genius Child Development Program, were posted all over the walls. There were detailed 12-hour daily study plans, dietary restrictions, sleep reduction, and even penalty regulations. Isolation time for mistakes, meal reductions, bathroom usage restrictions, and so on. This is nothing but abuse of a 4-year-old child. The investigation team also discovered an educational diary that Dorothy had kept. It contained detailed records of Lily's reactions and improvement points. Day 2, Lily cried, so reduced lunch by half. Necessary measure to improve concentration. Day 4, refused request to call mother. Important to cut off spoiling. Day 6, confirmed weight loss. Proper body type necessary for brain development. Emily trembled with anger and sadness as she read these records. A week later, an emergency hearing was held in family court. Emily's lawyer submitted the doctor's diagnosis, social worker's report, and the discovered educational program as evidence. Michael's lawyer argued that the mother-in-law's educational enthusiasm simply went too far, but there was no intent to abuse. However, the judge looked at Michael with a stern expression. As a father, you had the duty to protect your daughter. However, you failed to stop clear acts of abuse. This is equivalent to child neglect. Dorothy tried to justify her actions in court. I did everything thinking of my granddaughter's future. Early education is important. Is forcing a 4-year-old child to study 12 hours a day and restricting food and sleep. Education. The judge's voice contained anger. This is clearly child abuse. The judge handed down the verdict. Emily was granted emergency custody of Lily and Joshua, and a separation order was issued from Michael. Dorothy received a restraining order, prohibiting her from approaching both grandchildren. Michael Sanders will be permitted only supervised visits. However, the condition is that he must receive evaluation from a child psychologist and complete parenting classes. As they left the courtroom, Michael approached Emily. Emily, let's talk as a family. It's too late, Michael. Emily answered calmly. When our daughter was suffering, you chose your mother over me. That's your answer. At night, Emily held Lily on her lap and spoke quietly. It's okay now, Lily. No one will force you to study anymore. You can live like a child. Really, a light of hope shone in Lily's eyes. For the first time in a while. Really, why love to thank you for joining me. Mommy will always protect you. Lily smiled slightly. It was her first real smile in a week. A month later, Emily formally filed for divorce mediation. Michael agreed to relinquish custody, and Emily would gain sole custody of both children. Dorothy's strict restraining order continued, and Michael could only visit the children once a month. Under the supervision of a child psychologist, Lily was receiving counseling from a child psychologist twice a week. Little by little, the fear and anxiety within her began to fade. Mommy, what shall we play today? Lily asked happily. One day you can do anything you like. Emily answered. Whatever makes Lily happy. After thinking, Lily said, I want to draw. That's a wonderful idea. The two of them spread out colored pencils and began drawing on large paper. What Lily drew was a picture of a family of 3. Mommy, Lily, and baby Joshua. Everyone was smiling and holding hands. It's a beautiful picture. Emily stroked her daughter's head. Next, I want to draw a picture of the park. Lily's eyes sparkled. Emily smiled. She could feel her daughter's creativity and curiosity slowly returning. 1 year later in spring, Emily was preparing breakfast in the kitchen of a small apartment. Warm sunlight streaming through the window illuminated the colorful crayons on the table. Mommy, look. Lily ran over happily. She held a picture she had drawn the night before. It's a butterfly picture. That's beautiful, Lily. Emily took her daughter's artwork and put it on the refrigerator. The dozens of pictures Lily had drawn over the past year were displayed. Every picture was colorful and full of childlike, free imagination. 1-year-old Joshua was clapping his hands and laughing. In his high chair, Lily gently kissed her brother's cheek. Good morning, Josh. The divorce mediation had ended 6 months ago, and Emily had gained sole custody of Lily and Joshua. Life in the small apartment was economically challenging at times, but the family of 3 was living peaceful and fulfilling days. Lily had started attending a local preschool. In the first few months she showed anxiety about interacting with other children, but with support from kind teachers and continued counseling, she gradually regained her natural brightness. "What are you planning to do at preschool today?" Emily asked. "Play in the sandbox with friends. And we have singing time too." Lily's eyes sparkled. "The teacher said learning while playing is the best." Emily smiled. Her daughter's words contained none of the fear or compulsion from before. Michael was visiting the children once a month, under child psychologist supervision. He was taking parenting classes and continuing counseling, but reconciliation with Emily was difficult. "Do you want to see Daddy?" Emily sometimes asked Lily. "A little bit," Lily answered honestly. "But I prefer being with Mommy." The restraining order against Dorothy continued. All letters and gifts from her former mother-in-law were returned through the lawyer. Child psychologist Dr. Wilson evaluated Lily's recovery every 3 months. The latest report noted remarkable improvement. "Lily is recovering well from her trauma," Dr. Wilson explained to Emily. "The night crying has stopped, and her fear of eating is gone. Most importantly, her natural curiosity about learning has returned." Indeed, Lily now enjoyed reading books. However, this came from pure interest, not forced study. "Mommy, this book is interesting," Lily said while turning pages. "The princess becomes friends with a dragon." "That sounds like a lovely story. What do you think about it?" "I don't think the dragon is bad. It was probably just lonely." Emily could feel her daughter's growing empathy. Through her painful experience, Lily had developed a heart that understood others' pain. The preschool teacher, Mrs. Davis, regularly reported to Emily about Lily's changes. At first, Lily would just watch other children play from a distance. But now she actively participates in play, and sometimes even shows leadership. "How is she with studying?" "She's learning at a natural pace. We don't force anything at all. We only provide appropriate support when she shows interest herself." Emily was relieved. She was happiest that Lily could enjoy learning again. One weekend, the 3 of them were having a picnic at a nearby park. Lily was chasing butterflies on the grass, and Joshua was playing with toys on the blanket. "Mommy, look. A butterfly landed on my hand," Lily shouted excitedly. "That's amazing." The butterfly knows that Lily is a kind child. Lily looked at the butterfly and said, "Butterflies used to be caterpillars, right? But they became beautiful." Emily felt deep meaning in her daughter's words. Lily herself had grown into a child with a stronger and more beautiful heart through her painful experience. In the evening on the way home, Lily held her mother's hand and said, "Mommy, we're happy, aren't we?" "Yes, very happy," Emily answered. "What do you think a real family is?" Lily suddenly asked. Emily stopped and looked into her daughter's eyes. "A real family is people who treasure each other, love each other and help each other when in trouble. And most importantly, people who put children's happiness first." "Then we're a real family," Lily smiled with satisfaction. That night, after putting Lily and Joshua to bed, Emily sat alone, drinking coffee and looking out the window. The stars were shining beautifully. The events of a year ago had certainly left deep wounds on the family. However, they had learned much from those wounds. Emily deeply understood what true love is, what parental responsibility means, and what is truly important for children. From Lily's room came the sound of peaceful breathing. Her daughter was sleeping tonight too, without suffering from nightmares. That was Emily's greatest happiness. Tomorrow would begin another new day for the 3 of them. There would be difficulties, but in a home filled with love and understanding, the children would grow up healthy. Emily smiled slightly toward the starry sky. "We became a real family."